He even took the duct tape from her mouth, and he even threw a blanket over her body when he was upstairs. Which means that the crime scene was contaminated. Hi everyone and welcome to my new video. The last videos I talked a lot about ancient mysteries and buildings, so I thought it was time to do another video about a mysterious death. I already made one video about a mysterious death, the one of Ivana Smith, a Dutch-Belgian model. And now I wanted to do a case from America. As most of you know, I'm not from America, I'm from the Netherlands. And in the beginning of this year I heard about this case. It happened when I was 2 years old in 1996. So that's a very long time ago. They still don't know who did it. And it's a very interesting case because the parents are also suspects, not officially, but a lot of people think it's sketchy what happened. And the case is of the little girl JonBenét Ramsey. Here in the Netherlands it's not a very well-known case. I asked around to older people if they ever heard about it and nobody really knows about it. There is a documentary on Netflix and I watched it recently. It was very interesting and I think it's nice to hear the story from somebody who's not from America, because we have to find out things differently. So maybe I have another opinion or I can bring something new into it. I don't know, you judge. I want to point out that I'm not an investigator. I'm not professionally somebody who studied mystery or crime. So maybe some things are not right. I tried my best. I really researched everything. So if something is not right, please leave it in the comments and I can change the video, but I can change it in my description or I can point it out anywhere else. I don't care. I just hope I don't make mistakes. JonBenét was born on August 6, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia. Her parents were Patsy and John Ramsey. She also had a brother Burke and he was 3 years older. Her name was a combination of the name John and Bennett, which were both the names of her father. His name was JonBenét Ramsey. John was a businessman and he was the president of Access Graphics. He was married before he met the mother of JonBenét, Ann Burke, and her name was Lucinda Pash, if I say it right, but they divorced in 1978. They had 3 children together, 2 daughters and 1 son. One of his daughters, Elizabeth, was killed in a car crash when she was 22 years old in 1992. Patricia Patsy was an American beauty pageant winner who won the Miss West Virginia pageant at age 20 in 1977. Because she loved pageants so much, she also signed in JonBenét for a lot of pageants when she was really young. JonBenét was very successful and won titles such as American's Royal Miss, Little Miss Colorado, National Tiny Miss Beauty and many other things. JonBenét had a beautiful smile, she had glittery costumes and bouncy blonde hair, and she really liked to be in the center of attention just like her mother. Patsy was a real pageant mom. She was very passionate and she really loved doing it. And it's said that JonBenét also liked doing it, but we never know if that's really true. Patsy suffered from ovarian cancer. She was diagnosed with stage 4 in 1993. She had been in a remission for 9 years until 2002 when it reoccurred. Unfortunately, she died at age 49 on June 24, 2006. The family was a very wealthy family. They were multi-millionaires. So the children had a very comfortable life. They really looked like a happy family. They had the life that everybody wished for, but as we know, that didn't last for long. So now I'm gonna tell you what happened on that day. And it's according to the family, so it's what they say. So we don't know if everything is true. But this is what happened according to them. On December 25, 1996, the family went to a Christmas party at a friend's house. They arrived home well after dark. JonBenét was already asleep, so they put her to bed. They did the same to Burke and set the alarm for the next day. After that, they went to their own bed as well. The next morning, Patsy was the first one to wake up. It was still very early, not even dawn. She walked down the staircase and suddenly she saw 3 pieces of paper on the staircase. She started to read the notes as she discovered that it was a ransom note, and they said that they had JonBenét and that they wanted money if they wanted to see her alive again.
I just remember when I read, "We have your daughter," it just, this overwhelming fear. And I just dashed back up those stairs as fast as I could and pushed her door open.
And then?
Then I just screamed for John.
She called the police at 8 minutes before 6 in the morning in total panic. I'll let you hear the call. Many people think she sounds a bit fake, but of course we don't really know how somebody would act if something like that happens. Some people go crazy and other people stay quiet, others are in shock. So I don't think you can really say how somebody should react, but I'll just let you hear it and you can judge for yourself.
Police! What's going on? 5515th Street. What's going on there, ma'am? We have a kidnapping. Hurry, please. Explain to me what's going on, okay? There's a note left and our daughter's gone. A note was left and your daughter is gone? How old is your daughter? 6 years old. She's blonde. 6 years old. How long ago was this? I don't know. I just found the note. And my daughter's gone. Does it say who took her? What? Does it say who took her? I don't know. There's a ransom note here. It's a ransom note? It says FBTC. Victory. Please. Okay, what's your name? Are you Kathy Ramsey? I'm the mother. Oh my God! Please. I'm sending an officer over, okay? Please. Do you know how long she's been gone? No, I don't. Please, we just got out and she's right here. Oh my God, please. Okay, please, there's somebody. I am, honey. Please. Take a deep breath, please, okay? Hurry. Patsy.
So she called the police, and right after that she started to call her family and friends. 2 or 3 minutes later the police came to their house and the family and friends also came over, which is a bit strange if you ask me. Burke stayed inside his bed the whole time, according to him and the family. The police started to look if they could find a forced entry, but they didn't find anything, although some people claim that there was a broken window, but the hole wasn't big enough to climb through. The friends and family started to clean the kitchen, which is also very strange. John started to make arrangements to pay the ransom. The detectives arrived at 8 AM. They came because they wanted to await the kidnappers' instructions, but there was never an attempt to claim money. Eventually at 1 PM, a detective asked John and a family friend to look around the house if they could see something missing or something strange. So John and the friend searched the house and John comes back with his daughter in his arms and she is dead. This was a very critical error on the detective's part and I will talk about that later. JonBenét's mouth was covered with duct tape. She had a cord around her wrist and her neck, and her torso was covered with a white blanket. The kidnapping became a murder and nobody was ruled out. After an autopsy, it also became clear that she had a fracture on her skull, she had been sexually assaulted, and she was strangled. I'm gonna try to say the official cause, but I'm not very good in it, so I have to read it. They say it was asphyxia by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma. Okay, JonBenét was buried next to her sister Elizabeth in Atlanta, and years later her mother would also be buried next to JonBenét. And this murder is really strange, and that is also why it has a lot of media attention even till this day. I'm gonna sum up some things that are strange about this case. The Boulder Police Department made a lot of mistakes that were very crucial for the outcome of this investigation. I personally think that if they didn't make these mistakes, it could have been solved very early on, or maybe they would have known more than they know now. The first thing that is strange is the ransom note. The author of the ransom note knew a lot of things about the family, which is very strange. He asked for $118,000, and that was almost the exact amount of money that John Ramsey got from his bonus. Why would you ask for that specific amount of money? He even had more money, he was a millionaire, so why would you ask $118,000? The ransom note was 2.5 pages long, which is also very strange. Normally you would say, I have your daughter, I want this amount of money, here you can go to give it to me, and you have this amount of time. But no, he wrote a note from 2.5 pages long. I'm gonna read the ransom note so you can see how long it is. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. We do respect your business, but not the country that it serves. At this time we have your daughter in our possession. She is safe and unharmed, and if you want to see her, you must follow our instructions to the letter. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. 100,000 will be in 100 bills and the remaining 18,000 in 20 bills. Make sure that you bring an adequate size attached to the bank. When you get home, you will put the money in a brown paper bag. I will call you between 8 and 10 a.m. tomorrow to instruct you on delivery. The delivery will be exhausting, so I advise you to be rested. If we monitor you getting the money early, we might call you early to arrange an early delivery of the money and hence an earlier pickup of your daughter. Any deviation of my instructions will result in an immediate execution of your daughter. You will also be denied her remains for proper burial. The two gentlemen watching over your daughter do not particularly like you, so I advise you not to provoke them. Speaking to anyone about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert the bank authorities, she dies. If the money is anyway marked or tampered with, she dies. You will be scanned for electronic devices, and if any are found, she dies. You can try to deceive us, but we warn that we are familiar with law enforcement, countermeasures and tactics. You stand a 90-90 chance of killing your daughter if you try to outsmart us. Follow our instructions and you stand 100% chance of getting her back. You and your family are under constant scrutiny as well as the authorities. Don't try to grow a brain, John. You are not the only fat cat around, so don't think that killing will be difficult. Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good southern common sense of yours. It is up to you now, John. Victory. SBTC. This is a very long and specific ransom note. Normally you are short on time because you don't know if people will hear you. Why would you write a note that is so long? The note was also written with a pen and paper from the Ramsey house. Most of the time, according to investigators, they used their own stuff. There were no fingerprints found, and it included an unusual use of exclamation marks and acronyms. And that basically means that how the note was written didn't make any sense. Another thing that is strange is that they killed JonBenét before they got the money or instructed them to give the money. And well, why would you ask for money if you're gonna kill her anyway? That is very strange and it doesn't really make any sense. The ransom note specifically instructed that they should not call the police or the FBI or family or friends. However, Patsy did call the police and her family and friends. She asked her friends and family to come over, and they did come over. I don't get it why you would call your family and friends. Your daughter is missing and, well, you want to find her and you need the police to get there, and they would only be in the way for the police investigation, and you don't even know if your daughter is still alive. So why would you take that risk? Why would you do that? I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. I understand that you want support from your family and friends, but you also have your husband there, and if you don't know where your daughter is, I think it's more important to get the investigation going instead of asking your friends to come for moral support. And the family and friends came and they were all over the place. They even passed the ransom note, and I don't get it why that was allowed. They left their fingerprints on the ransom note, and then it's very hard to find the person who wrote it because there are so many fingerprints on it. They also walked around the house, so their footprints were everywhere. They touched everything. They even cleaned up the kitchen. And I don't get it why the police didn't say anything about it. I would be very angry. I would say, please people, go. This is closed area, we have to do an investigation, we have to find proof, and we have to find footprints and everything. And why, I don't get it why they didn't say anything. It really messed up the whole investigation. It is a fucking crime scene, for God's sake. I don't get it why you would allow that. And John Ramsey also acted very strange. Right after he found his daughter's body, he called his pilot. And he later stated that he called his pilot because he wanted to go home and away from this whole situation.
It was reported that shortly after you found your daughter's body, that you called the pilot of your plane to arrange a flight to Atlanta. Is that true?
I did. Police took the house over. We had nowhere to go. We wanted to go home.
Why would you go away from a situation like that? It's very important that you can talk to the police about it or find more evidence. I don't know. I just don't get it why you would go away so soon. Then there's also something weird about the basement. One of the officers who was searching the house went downstairs and he came to the basement, and the door was secured by a wooden latch. He paused for a moment, but he decided not to open the door, and it's so stupid that he didn't do it, because he would have found JonBenét's body in the basement before John Ramsey could find it. And as I said before, John was asked by a detective to check the house if he could find any evidence that somebody came inside the house or that anything was moved, and he instructed him that he should start on the second floor and then go down. But no, John Ramsey went downstairs first and he found his daughter in the basement. Why would you ignore something a detective tells you? If he says you have to start on the second floor, why did you go downstairs? He should have called other people to come downstairs, but instead he decided to get his daughter's body and bring it upstairs. He even took the duct tape from her mouth, and he even threw a blanket over her body when he was upstairs. Which means that the crime scene was contaminated and critical forensic evidence was disturbed for the returning forensic team. They should have never allowed him to go alone, which was very stupid and made the case very difficult to solve. Because when you find somebody who is dead, you should not touch the body. You should call the FBI or the police or whatever right away, and they can check if they can find fingerprints. But he touched her and he removed the duct tape, and he even touched the blanket that was around her body and just put it over her head, which means that everything was just mixed up. And if they find fingerprints of John, they could not prove that he was there before, which is very convenient for him if he did it. But we don't know if he did it. They also found fiber on the duct tape, and it matched the fiber on Patsy's clothes. But of course Patsy was in the house, so her fiber could have been everywhere. So it's also possible that it was on the ground and that it just flew in the air, and you know, it can happen to everybody. So it's not very strong evidence, but it's also strange that it's again something from them. And they also used a paintbrush, and that one was also from Patsy. So because of these facts, a lot of people started to believe that the parents of JonBenét did it. They gave inconsistent stories, and their media appearances didn't really help with that. They didn't want to talk to the police during the investigation, which is also very strange. And they also called their lawyers right away. They did agree to give blood samples and check their handwriting, and they gave hair samples, but they refused formal interviews with the police. And I think if your daughter is kidnapped or dead, you would talk to the police because you'd want to do everything to get her back or to solve the crime. So they didn't want to talk to the police, but a few days after the murder they did talk to CNN. And the things I named before, like the ransom note and John finding JonBenét's body and also the fiber and stuff, it also made them very suspicious. And they didn't really find evidence that somebody forced himself inside the house, so the theory that it was somebody who was already in the house is very strong, although they are still innocent until this day. Maybe Patsy was very angry because she didn't want to sleep and she was done with it. Or it was an accident and they wanted to cover it because they didn't want to go to jail. I guess we'll never know. They were never charged for the crime and they haven't found evidence against them. So for now they are still not guilty. So we have to see them as not guilty. And of course you can have your own theory, but for now they are not guilty. Some people think that Burke did it, JonBenét's brother. He had behavior issues and maybe his parents didn't really do anything about that. JonBenet was a very pretty girl and she did pageants, so she got a lot of attention and her mother was always busy with her. So maybe he was jealous and wanted attention as well. There has been an interview with Burke, I believe 2 years ago or a year ago. It was on the Dr. Phil show and he acted very strange. He was smiling all the time when he talked about his sister and it was very creepy. Some people think that because he was smiling that he did it. Well, I have to admit, when I'm nervous I smile a lot as well. Sometimes I'm not even happy when I'm talking about something when I smile, when I'm nervous. So maybe he had the same problem.
Where were you when that phone call was made?
It's in my bed.
How do you know?
I don't remember getting up until my dad came in there.
People think that he was angry with JonBenet or he was playing with her and he started beating her with a flashlight, and that is also why she had a head injury. It could be possible because when I was little my cousin also, well, he was always pushing me and hitting me with Barbies or action figures, and he didn't mean it bad, but if you use a flashlight it's very hard material, and when you're little your head is not really grown, so you can easily be injured by something like that. But if he did it, it could have been possible that John and Patsy found out that he killed his own sister, so it could be possible that they made up the story about the ransom note and somebody wanting the money, and that could also explain why they knew so many things about the family. He also had an interview with the police when he was little.
I was laying in bed with my eyes open, and so thinking of what might have happened.
Did you hear Mom and Dad talking?
I heard Mom going psycho.
Going psycho?
Yeah, or
Did you go down and see what was going on?
Stay in bed.
And until now he is not guilty at all of the murder of his sister. JonBenet was a very beautiful girl, so it could be that a sex predator came to their house because he wanted to rape JonBenet. She was known for the pageants, so maybe he knew where she lived because of the pageants. There was male DNA found in JonBenet's underwear and they couldn't identify who it was. This happened many years later when the technology was better. They didn't find semen, but they found a vaginal injury and her vaginal area was wiped with a cloth. There were 38 registered sex offenders living in a 20-mile radius of the Ramsey house, so it could have been one of them. But there is not enough evidence to prove that the family is excluded, and some people say that JonBenet wasn't sexually assaulted, that they didn't find this in the investigation. But I don't know, I just wanted to put everything in this video that people say. So I'm not sure what is true and what is not true, except from the things that are really confirmed. There are also other suspects. One of the neighbors who played Santa was a suspect. A former housekeeper was a suspect. And there was also a man in an apparent suicide who died really short after JonBenet Ramsey was found. But they did not find a match with their DNA. So we still don't know who killed JonBenet Ramsey. I haven't got a clue myself. I do think that the family shouldn't be ruled out because it's a very strange case and there are things that are sketchy, like the ransom note. I think it can prove if they are guilty or not, but they don't strike me as people who would kill their little daughter. She was a very sweet girl. She had a very beautiful face. I think she was a nice girl. I don't know, I have never met her. It's really sick if you can kill a 6-year-old girl who has a life in front of her. It really touched me when I heard about it, especially because she's around my age. She would have been 25 I think, or 26, and I'm 23 now, and almost 24. Well, it's very sad if you think about it that she can never grow up. She was at the beginning of her life, and it's also sad for her that the case is not solved. She really deserves justice, and it's also very stupid that there were so many mistakes in this case. And of course it was decades ago, so it's normal that things change. When somebody does something, there's more technology now to find out who did it. They didn't find a lot of evidence. I don't think they will find new evidence because it's so old. The most important things you can find in the first 48 hours. So after that it's only getting harder, and after years it's even sometimes almost impossible. So I don't know if we will ever know who did it, or the person who did it has to come forward. But I don't think that will happen. A sweet innocent girl has been a victim of a horrible murder. And well, she will forever be in our hearts. We can all feel how sad it is, and I really hope we will learn the truth one day, because I'm just very curious about this case. I hope you liked my video. It was very hard for me to do this in English because it's, well, there are so many difficult words, and I speak a lot of languages, so it's hard for me to focus on one language. Sometimes a weird accent pops up, so I'm sorry for that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments. If you have an idea for another subject, please let me know that as well. If you are a big fan of my videos, please subscribe to my channel. That would mean a lot to me. And I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!